Hello, everybody. It's the Bob and Zip Show with Ed Kelly, and I'm aforementioned Bob. That's Zip there. Spike O'Neill will be joining us in just moments. Also on the show tonight, Tami Asars. You may have heard her on our podcast a few months back. She was hiking the Appalachian Trail. She has done the Triple Crown, the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide. I asked her tonight if she would bring some photographs and movies of some of the craziest things she's seen in the wilderness, and she will do that. We're ready to rock.
The Bob and Zip Show with Ed Kelly.
Start us off tonight. First, let's welcome Spike, who's getting situated, but I think he's there. Hey, Spike.
There he is.
How about this? How about now? Can you see me now?
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Getting started
How about
tonight.
now?
That's the coffee stains on the shirts. By the way, my wife throws out the shirts that have visible stains after you've washed them with fabric softener. So
That's actually from dishwashing. I just finished dishwashing at home.
That's recent
It's
and still
it's just
wet.
water. It's just water. Yeah.
I am hoping it's actually dish soap.
Yeah. They use dish soap. Sometimes they use a mix of yogurt and I'm sorry, we're talking about something else.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah. It
All
gives that true gag appearance on the face when you use dish soap.
Cheers.
It's
Before
really
we get
some
started tonight, we're going to start
tricks of the
with
trade.
what Zip is fixated on lately and see if we could help him. And then Spike has got a new self-driving car story that's fascinating.
What?
Let's
Jeez.
bring up the maple syrup video. Our web developer, David, is standing by with that. I want to share with you what I've been doing for the past week.
Now this is the wet market in Wuhan, right?
That's right. That's right. All right, we can stop it. It seems to be stopping and starting on its own. All right, we can get rid of that.
Much like the sap you're milking.
Yeah. I
You
think
guys got snow, right?
a foot. So it's nothing.
Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. We
Just a
laugh
dusting.
at that in Vermont. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And by the way, when I first got here, I'm at the Avis rent-a-car counter in Boston, and I realized I'd rented the cheapest car I could get, which was a Toyota Camry. And then when I took a
So
look
Lisa rented you a car then. Okay.
no, but I am actually beholden to her wishes these days. So
Frugality. Good. Yeah. That's why
Yeah,
you
you
have
got the-
anything.
you got the frugality part down. I look at the car; it has no snow tires, and I'm also reminded that a Camry is pretty low to the ground. And I took it anyway. First day, I'm going up to the Sugar Shack. I don't make it up the hill.
Mm-mm.
Total embarrassment. Second day, ice. It took me 3 tries. I did that whole, and a neighbor called to complain that some flatlander who's not from around here is trying to get up this road. That was me.
Same thing happened to me the last time I was up there during
Yes,
the winter.
and I have routinely mocked anyone who couldn't get up the hill. It was our hill. So I went to the Avis counter at a small airport here in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, and a really wonderful lady who's going to get some maple syrup named Sharon. She saw what I was driving, and she swapped out. Oh, the car started leaking oil, by the way. Maybe because I was trying to gun it up a hill, but it's leaking oil. So she said, "For your pain and suffering," and she gave me a Ford Edge. Are you familiar with that SUV?
Yeah. It's a smaller version of an Explorer, basically.
We should send those to Ukraine. That's a tank. And it's Arrest Me Red, too. So anyway, I'm good. But thank you for asking. The maple syrup, out of 180 packages, we have 38 left to sell. So most of them are sold.
My dog wants one.
All right. And if anyone's interested, just go to bobrivers.blog. Also, to let you know, this live stream, which is currently simulcasting on Facebook and YouTube, at some point we're going to make the move over to YouTube because it's just a lot of reasons. Not that I don't like Mr. Zuckerberg. He's good at raking people in and then charging you to get back to those people.
Rake them in, rake them over. That's it.
So anyway, if you're watching on the live stream, go to bobrivers.blog, sign up for everything. You'll get an email notification of what we're doing. It's good to see you. Spike told me, let's get to Spike's second. Zip told me tonight that he has been captivated, fixated on the Murdaugh trial. All I know about it is he's guilty and serving 2 life sentences. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. What is it about seeing a guy like that brought to his knees that has you fixated on the story?
I was trying to figure that out, and I came to the conclusion what the Murdaugh family is to South Carolina, the Kennedys were to Massachusetts. It's kind of like they always were above reproach no matter what happened. Kennedy and Mary Jo and the accident at Chappaquiddick, almost the same exact deal. Family out of control, off the rails, left and right. And a bunch of conspiracy theorists think the other son, the surviving son, is implicated in some kind of they found a kid dead by the side of the road and his name popped up in the investigation. So it's not over yet.
Oh
yeah. His old roommate, one of the other sons of the Murdaugh family, his roommate turned up dead on the road somewhere in 2015, and it was never solved in the small town where they're the biggest law firm.
So now when this guy gets convicted,
the mother of the dead roommate now wants some justice. They want to look into this other Murdaugh.
I smell a sequel. I smell season 2.
Season 2 of the Netflix series. That's exactly right, man. When I saw this, I'm like, why does it's on like this? We have my dog is.
By the way, that's also one of your best impressions. Could you tell the dog in dog language to shut up?
Well, I'm trying to show her. Come here, baby. Come here. She wants to play. We got her a new toy with a heartbeat in it. Mm-hmm. It's like it's got a little battery operated. Because now Melissa's leaving town this month. She's going to go to Albuquerque for a month and help her mom convalesce from a surgery. Mom's apparently on a dating app, so she needs a new hip. So Melissa's going to go down and help her recover.
Hold on, I have to. I'm trying to unsee that, but it's too late.
No, it's all good. It's ask your doctor if 4 hours are right for you. So Melissa's going to be going to Albuquerque, and the dog's going to be home by herself a few hours a day while I'm doing day shift or night shift or both. So we got her this little toy that's got a heartbeat in it. She can put that, keep her company while she's home alone, and she's getting to know this little toy, and she's having a ball.
That's what the barking is.
Yeah, I'm not playing with her enough. That's the problem.
Well,
yeah.
I guess I was trying to get you to speak dog because that dog sounds exactly like the impression of a dog you did for 25 years.
I know. That's why we got her, so she could stand when I can't do the show. If I ever lose my voice from speaking too much, I was on the air for 10 hours yesterday in a row.
I know we're going to get to that. You've been burning the candle from the middle, and as well.
If I was working at Al Swearingen's place, the Gem in Deadwood, as a hooker, I'd be burning through mattresses like a daily basis. I would be like, and Zip, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sure.
It does. Of course he does.
Yeah.
All right, back to our infatuation with this trial and with watching the big fall.
Well, I'm watching this on the news, we have TV sets in the Cairo newsroom, and one's tuned to CNN and one's tuned to Fox. So, and I tell folks, somewhere between those two sets in that black zone is reality. Somewhere between the two sides, right?
Right. Neither are reality.
Right. But both trials are like live, the Murdaugh trial live. And I'm like, why do I care about this guy? What is the national infatuation with this South Carolina law family? And then I realized it's because Netflix has a series to sell. That's why America cares about this. That's why the story's getting national press.
Okay. But all three networks, Dateline and 2020, and I don't know what the other one is, but they've all done extended 2-hour specials on them.
Yeah.
It gets ratings.
It's like a novel. It really is.
I've been having this discussion with a friend of mine from Baltimore who is up here helping me make maple syrup, David Blair. Great guy. He's one of my conservative friends, and you're one of my liberal friends. And both of these camps have a hard time believing that I'm actually a centrist. So if I say something to him and go, well, yeah, that's not actually right. He goes, well, what about Biden? And I go, I didn't come at you representing Biden. And if I say something to you, I'm a centrist at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're talking about the news, and I say, Well, that's not factual. That's opinion. And what blows my mind is that if it's on media, whether it be the Murdaugh trial, whether it be an article in liberal media written about Elon Musk, or whether it be Hunter Biden's laptop, whatever it is, whichever narrative you're tuned into as a human being, you are likely to believe that it's Walter Cronkite telling you the truth. And so anyway, I was watching him the other night. We're in the sugar house. It's getting late. We've made about 12, 15 gallons of maple syrup. Did I mention BobRivers.blog if you want to order one? There's only 38 left.
You're like the My Pillow guy.
Yes, I'm the
My syrup. It's Yankee Doodle terrific.
I'm not going to interrupt you.
No.
We tap American trees with American sap, and we make it for you. And if you call right now, we'll knock no money off at all because we're about capitalism. It's the greatest system in the world.
American sap and American trees. I love it. Okay. With American drills. It's a Milwaukee drill.
American drill.
Oh, good for you. Way to step it up.
Absolutely. The Milwaukee drill is made in Milwaukee, Japan, probably. But
Milwaukee. Yeah.
Remember they named that town USA?
USA. Yeah. Made in USA.
Made in USA. So anyway, we're watching the maple syrup boil. We're having a wonderful night. And we bust each other's balls, but always good-natured in a good, friendly way. And he starts, and you get to know your friends, even friends you've known for decades. When you hang out and spend a bunch of time together, eventually you could talk for hours, but eventually you go to your phones and you just, kill time.
Yeah.
He's scrolling, and I don't know whether it was TikTok or
Short
videos. He's scrolling short videos, which, by the way, they were all competing with their short videos now. So Facebook has the short video because
Reels. Yeah.
It is a new thing. Talk about fixation, Zip. It is a new thing that these short videos, you would think, well, they're only going to keep you for a short time. No, they give you a little dopamine hit. Then you go on to the next one. And if it doesn't appeal to you in a half a second, you quickly scroll to the next one. But you are really like a deer at a salt lick at this point. You are not going anywhere. And I'm watching him. And this video he's watching, and he goes, look at that. And I guess it's in Florida, and it's an alligator that comes up on one of those wrought iron fences. And the alligator goes, and it opens the fence and crawls through. Look at that. And I'm watching and I'm going, okay, does he think the film Avatar is real too? Because that's clearly CGI. And I don't know if people know this, but you can make movies that look like science fiction, or you can create literally your own little Jurassic Park, and you can create this stuff. It's like, now maybe I'm wrong, and someone will correct me on the text here. You can always add a
Maybe
comment.
Cocaine Gator is the next year's movie.
Maybe the gator is right next to one of those.
It's the sequel to Cocaine Bear, Cocaine Gator. I'm telling you, it's coming.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the crystal meth gator. I don't know. Let's take something stronger than cocaine. But I'm watching it, and at the moment I was struck that he's a conservative media fan too. So whatever he sees, wow, look at that. And then he scrolls to another one, and I go, well, that's fake. And then I realized I'm kind of pouring cold water. I mean, maybe it's not fake, right?
You taught me never harsh another man's buzz, never deny another man his scams. What you told me, I use that all the time.
And so I see. Well, I got that from Sean Alexander, by the way, who couldn't be here tonight, but he will be back. And so I thought about that, and then I just sort of realized that when I was brought up, and that's why people, and he also at one point hearkened back to the day of Walter Cronkite, and I'm like, I don't know about you, but I don't remember a single Walter Cronkite newscast. So you could say those were the good old days, but those were the days when blacks rode at the back of the bus. Those were the days when you could be fired for all sorts of reasons. And we
or you could grab a coworker by the cooter and not get fired.
Exactly. And
so don't pin that shit on Cronkite. None of that was his fault.
Well, I do actually. Because the fact that Walter Cronkite was covering that stuff up means that it's not news.
Not a single Rosa Parks feature on the Walter Cronkite show. Not one.
And what I was saying to him is, well, back then there were 3 networks, and not a word got on there without it being homogenized, safe. Let me put it this way.
Editorial staff go
Yes.
through the whole thing. Yes.
JFK was cuckooing Marilyn Monroe. Every single network knew about it. Walter Cronkite, that was his Biden's laptop. He didn't cover it. And all right, maybe you don't care.
Well, it's a great point, but let me see if this is why. Did it pose a threat to national security?
Are you talking about Hunter Biden's laptop?
I'm talking about Marilyn Scooter.
Oh, Marilyn Scooter. Yeah, because she had compromised the entire Kennedy family. She was with Bobby Kennedy. She was with JFK. Yeah. She was with so many different people, and she was erratic. And she was threatening them all with exposing national secrets and exposing them. So, yes, I mean,
okay, that's fair.
As far as I know,
yeah. That's fair.
Anyway, this comes back to the lack of critical thinking being taught in schools, or even being like, I automatically, when I see something now, and maybe it's because I'm old and crotchety, I automatically go, what part of that is true? What part of that could be spin? Who stands to benefit? Like, does big oil benefit? Does big pharma benefit? And then I'll do a deep dive researching. And all I'm going to get when I do that is different narratives. I don't know if any of them are true either. So it's interesting. I think the thing about the Murdaugh trial that's most satisfying, and I saw this with my wife, who's watching the news as well, and Zip, is that for once someone is found guilty. I mean, I didn't even get that satisfaction. I got the OJ civil liability, but there's so many times when we know a public figure or a huge powerful person, take the big pharma Purdue that did OxyContin, they're guilty, and they get a slap on the wrist or pay a fine. So I think that's part of the fun of it. I also think that we like drama, whether it be sports or what I call newspinion, because I don't think there's much news. And the reason there's no news is it's boring. It's boring to say, well, this is going to go before the courts and we'll have an answer in 6 months to a year and a half. And then there's no story. Unless if you have the Live at 5 people going, I know it's this. It has to be this because he said this. And that means that has to be. And then we follow along because we're like, who's going to win around the campfire in our tribal, our tribal dispute. Anyway.
Politainment.
Would you agree that, going back to the Cronkite days, like pre-Woodward and Bernstein, that the only real social media interaction was the op-ed page in your local newspaper?
Other than, Mavis and other neighbors on a party line. Yeah, I think you're right. No, there wasn't what we have now, unless you had actual torches and pitchforks, which in the South at some point.
Still do. Yeah.
But no, this it's a good point that
no, he's right. Getting your opinion in the paper printed was your platform. Yeah.
That was your Facebook post. And you had to convince the editors
that it was worth printing. Yeah.
That readers would like it. So it had that same, it had to have it be not clickbait, inkbait. It had to be something. Yeah, because I don't believe human behavior changes much over thousands of years, over most of recorded human history. In fact, I was researching at one point when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I started researching abortion throughout human history. And you can go back to Socrates' time and hear some of the same arguments about whether a woman has a right to choose, or whether it should be banned, or whether it should only be allowed up to a certain point. What is that, 3,000 years ago? These are questions that society has always been somewhat divided on. There's things we sort of agree on, most of us. Murder, we can all
Not so
prohibit that.
much.
Yeah, we should prohibit that, okay? Because we can all agree on it. But then when you get to the finer points of civilization, some people go, "Hey, wait a minute. I want the freedom to do whatever I want. Government should stay out of my affairs unless I happen to be a transsexual. Then they should stay in my affairs." And what's interesting is everybody, anytime they state it's my belief system that government shouldn't do this, if you go, well, how about when they do that the way your party wants? They go, well, that's different. So
yeah, smaller government, small enough to fit in a uterus. Yeah. Yeah, it's not my joke, but it's a good joke.
It sounds
Republican
like
politics, it's a drag.
It fits you like an excellent drag queen dress.
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Let's get to your stories tonight, Spike, before we get Tami Asars on. Tami is
because listen, I do have to bug out like at 5:30. Okay. I still got to drive. I'm home right now.
We need your
story. Still got to drive in. Yeah. Okay. So you want to hear about Springsteen?
Yes.
I know he's already been and gone through the Northwest, but he's touring the country and the world. It's a planetary tour for like the next 18 months. And it's much like Joe Biden. Will Bruuuce, he's 73. Will he be able to finish the whole tour? That's the concern. And it's funny, I wasn't going to go to this show because when the tickets went on sale, it was that whole dynamic pricing fiasco. And Bruuuce tickets were selling for $5,000 a seat on the floor in the pit there, where you can, have Bruuuce pass above your head and touch his butt.
That's right. I mean, you had actually consigned yourself to the fact that you saw him in his prime and you were going to skip a Bruuuce Springsteen tour, which to me is shocking.
Well, it was. I had realized that I had seen every tour he had ever done since '78, since the Darkness on the Edge of Town tour. I mean, I'm talking about the Ghost of Tom Joad, Nebraska. I'm talking Devils and Dust. I'm talking every tour he came through town with. I even saw the band that when he fired E Street and hired a bunch of Californians to do those two albums, Lucky Town and Human Touch. I saw that tour, and you couldn't give the tickets away. Okay, seriously, half the Coliseum had black curtains in the second half. And so I wasn't getting tickets to this show because this was pre-getting back to work. This was still when I was on unemployment and fighting for our lives here at home.
Went on sale before you got the full-time job at Camry.
Yeah, yeah. So I had resigned. I said, look, I saw him in my prime. He's in his 70s. I'm watching this stuff on TV that he's doing this cover album, and he sounds rough. And he's, Bruuuce, it's like a lounge act. I was heartbroken.
You saw him not able to sing at full capacity somewhere?
Well, I saw him do the Kimmel show, and I saw him do Fallon and
wasn't that good?
He was great, but he's playing with like a different band. They're doing those covers. Hey DJ, don't you play that song? The album of covers he just did called Only the Strong Survive.
It did the opposite of make you want to go to the show.
Yeah, because his voice sounded gruff and a little bit tired, and so I had convinced myself I wasn't going to miss anything by not going. Your sister Patty, who is as big a Springsteen freak as I am, got 3 tickets when they went on sale for crazy prices.
She paid a lot of money for those tickets.
Yeah, and as things settled down and the market dictated the true value of the tickets, she found 3 better seats for her and her daughter and her daughter's guy, Michael. And she gave me the 3 seats she had first bought, rather than resell them, which she could have done to recoup some of her investment. As a thank you to me for helping you and Lisa get your stuff across the country.
You drove 2 Penske trucks, 2,500 miles.
Well, she gifted me those 3 tickets.
Wow.
And I got to take my older brother, Kevin, who we've seen every show since '78. I've seen more than him, but we went to the first show together and we've been there all the time. We saw Bruuuce together in Atlantic City.
Was there police yellow tape, do not cross between you and Bruuce Springsteen this time? Because
I was far enough away. It was the worst seats I've ever had for a Bruuuce show. Yeah. I mean, ever.
They weren't terrible.
They weren't bad, but I mean, I've been to pit lately. I work hard to get.
Did she get in the pit, or does she just have decent?
No, she had front row tickets behind the pit where the floor seating starts.
Okay.
Anyway, so I get 11th hour. Patty reminds me, hey, I remember I'm giving you I sent you these 3 tickets, and I had completely forgotten because it was months and months and months ago, and my life has changed in the last 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
I called my brother. We got tickets to the show. You're going, and we took my older daughter Ryan, her boyfriend John, who she's been living with for the last 6 months. He's a great kid.
Now
so
Ryan has a serious boyfriend now.
Moved in together about 6 months ago. Yeah,
this is good because we spoke with you a year ago, and you said she was dating her way through the phone book, as I recall.
Yeah, so. Well, she's trying to find. It was post COVID. You get you take two tests when they come over. Anyway, so we go to the show, Bob.
Somehow I don't think any any guy would be threatened by you as the angry dad because you know everything about dating from your own experience. But anyway, go ahead.
You throw the bullet to him and say it goes a lot faster after midnight. That's what you say. Well, no. So we go to this show, right? And I got to tell you, from the opening bell to the 7 encores.
7 encores.
I have never.
Was each
seen
encore one song? He would do one song and then go off. Yeah.
Yeah. No. He didn't leave the stage after he came back on.
Oh,
but
okay.
They came back and did 6 encores. The band left, and he came back and did one acoustic song to close the night.
Okay.
But
It was a good show.
It was the best set I've ever seen him play in 45 years of seeing Bruuuce.
Wow.
His voice was so strong. He had 3 backup singers, so every backup harmony from every album was perfect. He had he played a lot of stuff from his first 2 records, where he was actually from the second record mostly, where he was the only guitar player in the band. So he played lead guitar like I haven't seen him play lead guitar since the 80s.
What does this tell you about? How old is he? 74?
73. He was 74 in September.
Okay. What does this tell you about him that you didn't know before? I mean, is it like a Tom Brady thing where he's kept himself incredibly physically fit and healthy? Do you want his diet tips and secrets?
I'll tell you what it tells me. I'll tell you exactly what it tells me. I think all those things are true. He lives a great life. He's got a great woman. You know, I listened to his memoir when I was driving across country with your stuff.
Of course,
I listened to Bruuuce. I listened to Bruuuce read his book in his voice. I mean,
that's why you took the gig. I can catch up on Bruce's memoir. Yeah.
And he confessed his bouts with depression, his pharmaceutical solution to his bedridden. I mean, he was bedridden for weeks on end. That his dad had bipolar depression, and his dad got medication at the end of his life and gave him a decade the family never thought they'd have with his dad when he was at the end of his life. So I mean, all this. But what this show told me was it ain't about the money. He just sold his catalog for $500 million.
Yes, he doesn't need the money.
And if it was about the money, he'd have mailed it in. And I've never seen anybody love what he does and work harder at delivering for his fans. Right. And maybe it was the fiasco of the ticket prices, because he lost a lot of fans over that. A lot of his true old fans, and he was proven.
But it wasn't him. It was an algorithm for Ticketmaster.
Well, but artists put a cap on what that ceiling can be for dynamic
and he
pricing.
Just didn't. Well,
he didn't.
He's still recovering from depression, and he just forgot.
he didn't know. Yeah, so it was the best show I've ever seen him do.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah,
hopefully this whole Springsteen experience at some point will be on a Blu-ray.
I'm sure it will,
but it will stream, and I'll be able to go to a show.
You can go to YouTube right now and watch clips of entire sections of the shows
of this show. I need it produced well, though. I need.
Oh yeah. They'll do a
pay for it. Yeah.
They'll do a multi-camera board mix, perfect rendition of this. They usually do.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I was avoiding the internet, so I wouldn't be spoiler alert for the set list. You know,
I need you to push it and stay just a little bit longer. Too quick.
Yeah.
How many shows into the tour was it?
It was about 17, 18. It was the 18th show I saw.
Wow.
And he's going to play for about 18 months, so it's going to be quite a run. It's the first month of the show. Was the 55th time I'd seen him.
Tammy's going to join us in just a second. You brought up, we'll do this just quick, but I think this is fantastic. We used to talk about this stuff 10, 15 years ago when I told you that just about every technology move would eventually make it so you couldn't hide anything, and they would be able to charge you for anything that needed to be charged by having technology spy on you. My original idea was that all these cameras at stoplights were just going to mail you tickets. That did happen.
Yep.
The other thing I told you was that insurance companies were going to have sensors in your car that told them how you were driving and charge you if you were a bad driver. Well, they do it a different way. If you're willing to put the sensors in your car, we will give you a discount.
That's right. Good driver discount.
Same thing, right? So if you're not willing to be spied on, what I found recently with various companies is that if I don't go paperless and automatic payments, they will charge me extra per month.
Absolutely.
To hunt me down.
Yep.
But the latest thing is a story out about Ford.
Yeah, Ford has so far, I think, filed like 300 patents this year. They constantly are innovating. I mean, They were groundbreaking in flex fueling. They're going to
What is
eliminate
flex
gas
fueling?
where you have a gasoline that's like a corn or ethanol mixes, where you can run different type fuels in your car. But that's decades old. They're going to eliminate internal combustion engines completely. They're going to be the F-150 is going to be an electric truck, and within 10 years.
And is that because Biden's making them do it? That's what I heard.
No,
Or I heard it was the governor of
because
California that's making them do it. I heard it's you liberals that are causing this to happen.
it is. Yeah. It's actually capitalism.
You're
You know,
forcing people to buy electric vehicles. You're going to
they're
come
just-
to their house and you're going to pick up not just their guns, but their ICE engines as well.
by their V8s. That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Your 32s and your V8s at the same time. No, one of the things they patent is self-driving cars are going to be the next turning point, right? I think it's Google is already or Amazon. One of them is pioneering self-driving cars on their campuses. They've got like little shuttle things around their campus that are driverless cars, like in Total Recall. But cars that can park themselves are common now. Cars that do lane corrections when you drift are common now.
It's
pretty
becoming a
soon-
regular feature on any high-end car.
Yeah, it is. But their self-driving cars are going to become prevalent. Ford
Eventually.
patented something that they promise they're not going to use. They just always patent innovation when they invent something.
Because if they don't use it, they can charge someone else to use it.
Right. They've got now an intelligence in a car, self-driving car, and more so when you miss a payment the first month, they can shut off your air conditioning, remind you that you're late with your payment. Seriously, they can send
They
a
can
tone.
remove features of the car until you make a payment.
Yes.
By the way, Tesla already does that.
Do they really? Okay.
Well, in a sense, at the end of the year, you had the free premium, which gave me access to GPS maps and a whole bunch of features that, and also unlimited data, so I could listen to my Spotify.
Right.
And at the end of the year, when that ran out, one day I got the car, none of that stuff works.
Right.
And how do I get my credit card? How do I get it back in?
Right.
So that's, so the subscription electric fence pain model is what I'm calling it.
Yeah.
So what is Ford doing?
Well, the second month they can send an annoying tone to be playing in your car all the time, like the brown note,
as if the seatbelt was never fastened.
Yes,
Okay.
all the time because you're. But
Okay.
the end game is if you fall too far behind your payments, your car will drive itself to the repo lot.
Your car will repossess itself.
Self-repossessing cars.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Is this Is this okay?
Yeah, it is. Because I mean, if you're not paying for your car, it's gonna be gone anyway.
Right.
You want a big fat guy with a 45 Magnum towing your car? You got that. I mean, it's a great reality show. There's dozens of them. I'm more worried about turning off your air if you fall behind. How about the deep south or out Arizona where people have a hard time making their budget?
That'll make for wonderful publicity as
Seriously.
that's debated on mainstream news and lamestream news, and that'll just give the car more publicity.
The day they cut off your air because you're behind in your payments and cut off your electric windows from going down, and they kill a baby in Arizona because it's 125 degrees in the car,
I don't think it's going to happen because you're already talking about it.
Yeah.
Talk radio will talk about it before it happens and prevent that baby's death. So good. You're doing it.
I'm saving babies here, buddy.
Saving babies tonight. That's an amazing thing. And there's more of that to come. Because
artificial intelligence is going to take over just about everything.
Artificial intelligence will also first off, they're going to find ways to save human capital. So the repo guy doesn't need to exist. So there's a whole category of expense that doesn't have to happen. And AI is going to look for jobs and things to disrupt. That's a whole other topic. We might get into that a little more. But let's bring on Tami right now. And I know you being a Seattle neighbor love Tami, and we had an incredible time talking to her as she hiked the entire Appalachian Trail this summer. And
following Tami was the most exercise I got all year.
That's right.
It was the most time I'd spent outdoors listening to the crickets behind her tent.
She's a renowned nature photographer. She's an author of so many hiking books and really one of the best in the biz. And she's a Triple Crown hiker who has hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, the Appalachian Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. Let's welcome back Tami Asars. Hey, Tami.
Hey, hi guys. How are you?
Good to see you in civilization.
Yeah, it's nice to be back in civilization.
Yeah, and there's no, wait a minute, there's no crickets, there's no night owls, none of that's happening. 'Cause
No.
we really followed you for that whole 2,100 whatever miles. I'm sure you know the exact number.
It was nice to have you guys along virtually for sure.
It was fun, and a great mission accomplished for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tonight we're going to do something a little different, and we're actually stretching out with our television studio in a browser from StreamYard.com. Tami, I asked her to present some of her greatest and most interesting hiking story moments with film and picture. And I don't know how this is a little bit of a beta test. I don't know how this is going to work, but
I do have to go because I wish I could stay with this, but I really got to run. Could I ask Tami, did you like sleep like on the floor like Tom Hanks after Survivor when you came back? Couldn't be in a bed. You always have a bottle of water with you everywhere you go.
Just the opposite. Just the opposite. As cushy as possible with the best high-end beverages you can think of.
You didn't have to readjust to civilization.
No, it was a natural fit back into the real world for sure.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Well, I enjoyed every time you joined us from the hike. And as an East Coaster that was born and raised like in the areas of the Civil War and all the historical references and places you brought from that trail to this podcast were amazing. Enjoyed every second of them. And
as a card-carrying liberal who doesn't care about Middle America, he could give a shit about the
you notice a lot of people
Continental Divide Trail, which you're going to talk about tonight.
Nobody's hiking the Iowa corridor. Ain't a lot it's the historic corn flats of Des Moines. Right. Yeah,
that's flyover.
Big fun.
All right, Spike, have a good time on your radio show.
There is actually what?
There is actually a trail that goes around Ohio, so you never know.
You never know. Bye, guys.
See ya, Spike.
Okay. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's so nice to be back talking to you guys from the warmth of a house and not the cold shivers of a humid tent.
Well, all right. Now, I took a glance at some of this stuff, but I haven't watched the movies. Let's set this up, though. When we spoke, you went to some of your archives, and what did you pull together?
Well, I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about a couple stories. So the Continental Divide Trail was such a unique experience. I mean, they all are, but that one was done in 2020 when, the world was essentially falling apart. We didn't know what was going to happen. And so it definitely added another layer to it that was interesting, and a challenge that was on top of a challenge. So
that was, wait a minute. So that was your response to the pandemic is I'll do how long was this trail? I know it's
3,100 miles.
3,100. That's the biggest, lengthiest one.
Yeah.
Although not as many mountains, right?
Oh no, it's a lot. Well, maybe not as steep, but yeah, there's a lot of mountains for sure.
So your response to the pandemic was, I'm going to hike 3,100 miles. Were you totally by yourself, or did you have a hiking?
No, I have my hiking partner came. Okay. I have a trail brother that he and I hike together pretty well. Yeah.
Okay. So you did this during the pandemic. You didn't have to worry about wearing a mask, I assume, and you encountered. See, I don't think of Middle America as having that much wildlife. So tell me a little about the Continental Divide Trail. Compare it to PCT or Appalachian, which I'm somewhat familiar with.
So it goes along the crest of the spine of the Rockies. So you're in the mountains the entire time. If you look at a topographical map of the United States, on the left, you have, the ridges that go right up California and through Oregon and Washington. And then the next big ridge over is the Continental Divide Trail, which starts in New Mexico, the boot heel of New Mexico, and goes all the way up over all the big ridge lines, Anaconda Pintlers, Glacier National Park, all that until it ends. So it's
I'm totally confused. I had no idea. I thought it went down right down I thought it was down the Mississippi or something. Okay.
That would have made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I could have gone by boat. Okay, so it's the Rockies.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And it is grueling, and you have weather, and you have grizzly bears, and you have, you know, down south you have the desert, which you also have in the PCT, but it has a lot of different diversity. And we did wear masks every time we were in towns, which was interesting because we left in April. So the world kind of started exploding, as you know, like January, February, and we didn't know, were they going to close all public lands? Some trails like the AT and the PCT were encouraging people not to go on them because they're so social and there's so many different stops. The Continental Divide is kind of one of those trails that has a lot more remoteness, and you can stretch out your stops, your resupply stops, a little bit further. So, you know, you'd carry for up to 8 or 9 days at a time before you'd have to go somewhere. And then it was always masks, and thankfully never got COVID. I mean, we were in some really remote areas, so the people were welcoming in those towns too.
How was the cell phone coverage in the Rockies? I imagine maybe not that great.
No, not so great. No.
Okay.
Which was kind of nice too, because we had no idea what was happening in the world until you stop in a town, and then, you know, kind of had to hear all the sad things.
A quick update. Yeah. Okay. Let's bring on our web developer, Dave, for just a second. That's the coolest background graphic ever, Dave. So you've got these videos, and I can see some videos here, and we've got pictures. What would you like to play first, Tami, and how will I know what it is?
Oh, good question. I think there's a picture of me standing next to the Continental Divide sign that was pretty early on in the process there. That was kind of right down in New Mexico. And then there's a whole bunch of rattlesnake ones. I just threw those in there because I thought.
Let's go to the pictures before the movies. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a wolf.
Wow.
I'll just have Dave scroll through them, and you could tell the story.
Okay. So that one, and then there's one of me standing out by Yellowstone. So we're
by the way, before we go past this wolf.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the Continental Divide. Back to the wolf for a second.
How far away are you from
It's asked the same question. Yeah.
Okay, so
it looks like you're 6 inches from his nose.
So the story goes like this. Right, if you go, let's see, like 4 pictures over to where I'm standing with the Yellowstone sign. So we hiked all through Yellowstone, didn't see any grizzly bears. This is like the outskirts of Yellowstone. This is coming in from a pedestrian way, one you can't drive a car into. And so I was on, you know, hyper alert as you would be in grizzly country, especially there because they're federal bears, very protected. And so coming through there, you know, you can see the bear spray on my hip there. I was ready to go. Had 0 episodes of anything. It was super mellow, all great. The worst that happened was I slipped on a big slippery rock on an icy morning and went in the drink and got soaking wet, and I was so cold and also slightly embarrassed, but that's beside the point.
Goes with the territory. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah.
So the grizzlies are grizzlies compared to brown bears. A grizzly, if I understand my bear etiquette, and especially these days, the cocaine bears could be even worse. But if I understand right, brown bears will generally run away from you. Grizzlies can attack unprovoked. Is that right? Is that the difference?
You're. I mean, grizzlies. You're unfortunately a little more on their diet, right? They're an apex predator. They're
okay.
Yeah, so you want to be very careful. Although it's rare. It's usually because of something. I mean,
it's rare that you're dinner. That's nice to know, especially when you're all alone and haven't seen anybody for a while. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So you do have to be careful. So anyway, went through Yellowstone, no issues. Everything was lovely. Had some great thermal activity. Walking past on the really cool trails through the park. And then after the night after leaving the park, I had settled into my tent and I was nice and cozy and everything was great. I was laying down and I couldn't fall asleep. I was just busy brain. And I didn't have my rain fly on my tent, and it was mesh, and I could see out of my tent to this little strip of pink. And the sun was just setting and it was just surreal looking out. And I just laying there and thinking how great it was. And then all of a sudden someone's German Shepherd's nose was right in my face. And I was like, what is this? Whose dog? And I thought there must be a horseman on trail and then it occurred to me that it wasn't leaving, and it probably wasn't a dog.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was that.
Wow.
It was a wolf.
You thought a German Shepherd
Yes.
in the glow of the what do they call that? The afterglow of sunset.
The alpine glow of the evening. I mean, it was surreal, and it was like a silhouetted.
Now that's not that.
That's not that. That's actually
that's the same species, but not the same
that's
dog.
taken right near Yellowstone.
You didn't say, "Oh, I've got to get my camera out." All right, smile.
How about a
I'm
selfie?
just gonna stop in this moment of complete terror and grab my iPhone, because that's what most people do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was actually taken in Yellowstone, but that was not the same night, because that night it was a silhouette. But I could smell it. I could smell its breath. And then
How far away in feet?
it was, its nose was on the mesh of my tent, and I was laying back, so it was right. I could have bopped it. I could have bopped it in the face, but it didn't. It wasn't. I think I was talking to a biologist after that who said, it's probably just curious. They don't see people laying down. Their world revolves around humans standing on feet. So seeing something laying down that was alive, I mean, obviously it could sense I was moving. It was probably like, what is this strange thing? Have I come, what have I come across? And it came in for a better look. And
Would it be hungry?
Who knows? The second I moved, it ran. And
okay.
so then I was like, where'd it go? Sat up. My trail brother was camped, within a little boundary, not too far away from me, but he wears earplugs, and I could hear him. He was sound asleep. So
sound asleep. He never knew this happened.
He never knew. So I started shouting because I wanted it to obviously go far, far away.
So do you talk, like you taught me how to talk to bears? Do you remember that? Because I came up upon a bear once, and I'm pretty sure you were like, "Hi, bear, how's it going?" And you act like normal, and you just talk.
Identify yourself as human, right?
Yeah, identify yourself as human, and then hopefully he gets bored or annoyed and goes away. Is that what you did with the wolf?
Yeah, pretty much. But then, they travel in packs. So then my worry was like, where there's one, there's more. So got up, did a headlamp scan of the whole area, and didn't see any eyes. And so there was a forest right behind me. I assumed it went in there, and probably were more, but I didn't sleep well that night.
Jesus.
Well, or at all?
No, I slept. I'm so
you did dose where you're like, oh well, he's not eating me, so I'm going to dose.
I mean, at some point you quit worrying. You really
I was that way about the boogeyman when I was 5. I do recall that feeling. It's the same feeling. Yeah. That's crazy.
You're like, all right, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next story. Go ahead, scroll through the pictures and let's see what we got.
Man.
So the New Mexico desert. So, on the PCT, I ran into rattlesnakes too, but not like this. The New Mexico desert is not for the faint of heart. It is super rugged. It is very remote. In fact, the trail on the Continental Divide Trail is not a trail. It's a hike from post to post. If you're lucky, you can see the post. If you're hiking at night, you might not see the post. The best you can do is pull up an app on your smartphone and keep
fortunately,
it's
only 3,000 miles long, so it's certainly not going to get difficult or tedious. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that guy. All right.
They're big, and they're everywhere. You do have to be so careful. I think it was between like 15 and 18 rattlesnakes, but after a while you lose track. And
by the way, you're the best guest in the world, Tami. Your stories are great. And Zip, do you remember when we were kids and Johnny Carson would have the guy on, people on from the zoo, and they would bring these animals? I like just seeing still pictures. Here. Yeah. Seriously, this is amazing. What can I? Zip is also into
I was just curious.
Ahead,
do you
Zip,
have a venom kit? Do you bring an anti-venom kit?
They don't really work. The actual
they don't work. That's nice to know.
I mean, I don't know. That's what I've heard. I've never had to use one. Knock on something quickly. The best thing you can do is I carried an InReach device which has an SOS emergency. Yep. So I learned, studied pretty intensely about what to do, but especially after seeing a few, when we got to the first town, I was like, okay, I got to know this stuff really well, because you almost step on them. You can see how they blend. And
okay, so don't tell Lisa this, because we live in the Southwest now.
I was thinking of her when I put this together, actually.
Yeah.
I was like,
she's definitely afraid of rattlesnakes. I'm more afraid of ticks,
understandable.
from being in New England. So this snake could literally not see it till you're almost on it. And
50% of them rattled. The other half did not. So you think, oh, they're the ladies and gentlemen of the snake world because they shake their tail and let you know they're there. But some of them don't. And so then you just got so that every little, and then the cruel part is there's like this grass that has these little seed pods in it that dry out. So when the wind blows, you hear the tick, 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 and you just about jump out of your skin because you have no idea if it's a snake. Is it grass?
It's a snake. And by the way, the one of our favorite hiking places, Rattlesnake Ridge in North Bend, has no rattlesnakes.
Yeah, no.
But was named after these seed pods that rattled there, and some early people thought they were rattlesnakes. Okay,
so can you not hike at night because of rattlers?
Great question, Zip. So that's what I thought. Okay, so we'll just, get up while it's nice and cool and go. And then, so I'm hiking along and I look down and I see what looks like a rock, but it catches my eye oddly. And then I shine my headlamp on it and it's a coiled rattlesnake that's about this big. And it's in a tight little ball right next to the trail, all snuggled up within itself.
That's how he sleeps. Yeah.
It didn't move. It just sat there. And then the second I shined my light on it, it uncoiled. It didn't rattle. And it kind of went, oh, geez, come on. And slithered across the trail. So they're around at night. You really, it's hard to know.
Okay, so quick question. Why do you hike again?
Yeah, because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yeah. All right. Last thing about that, the photography is awesome. Are you carrying a DSLR camera? This is not iPhone.
No, this is all iPhone on this trip. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, this was a lot of heavy carries, so there was no way I could carry a big camera.
Got it.
I mean, I could have, I guess, but it would have been taken a tremendous amount of work. And so, so the other so we saw a lot of moose too, which was really cool. And you can see this one has a baby, which is you do kind of have to be careful with the little ones. And lots of babies. This was actually really cool to see so many little small infant. Look at that. That's just a newborn. It barely has figured out how to stand on its little legs. And you can see moms looking around.
Awesome.
I really wanted to get closer, but then that probably would have not turned out well.
Did you see that story about the moose that attacked the guy on, I don't know if it was an ATV or a snowmobile? It was like last week, I think.
No.
He was okay. He got away, but I don't know what he did to aggravate.
Was he on the Continental Divide?
Yeah.
No, he was wherever. This is a beautiful spot here. We're in the Continental Divide Trail here.
Yep, this is the Wind River Range in Wyoming, one of the most gorgeous spots I've ever been in my life. And that says a lot. I hike all the time.
Yeah, you see the most beautiful places.
Oh my goodness, the winds knocked my socks off. They were spectacular.
Do you go through any of the kind of desert where, like Bryce Canyon, that kind of stuff, or is that not in the Continental
The only
Divide?
thing, there is one picture in here. If you go all the way to the end there, Dev, I think you'll see it. Yep, right there. So that is New Mexico. That's about as close to that Red Rocky stuff as you'll get.
Wow,
And it was stunning back in there. Oh my goodness. Imagine just having all this to yourself. That's what it was. We saw maybe the entire 3,100 miles. We saw maybe 30 other hikers, 25 to 30. And it was because of the pandemic, a lot of people weren't cruising around. And
it might have something to do with the rattlesnakes. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were only 20 or 30 brave people out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so grand. It's just, there are moments where you see a sky like that and you can't believe that in your lifetime you get this experience.
Would it be safe to say, looking at this picture, that this is a lot of why you hike, because you wouldn't see anything like that?
I think it's captured pretty well there. You just don't, I don't know. You don't have words. Oh, this is a funny one. This one, I thought I'd put a little bit of the people thing. You can kind of see the chains near my feet there. That's this is hitching a ride from a farmer into a tiny town in Montana in the back of the truck. And you're just cruising around.
I think I saw this episode of Yellowstone. He didn't threaten to drop you off at the train station, did he?
No, not this time. Actually, everybody was so nice. That's the one thing I will say is that back in 2020, nobody knew what was going to happen to this crazy world we were living in. And there was a point where, there was a lot of social media slamming for people going out on these trails. There was a lot of shade being thrown for, you're not going to go spread disease in all these small towns, this kind of thing. And so, we had a very solid plan in place. If either one of us, my trail brother or I, started feeling bad, and we had, everything figured out. So we weren't going to go into any towns. But the good news was, we never got sick. We never saw anyone. In fact, these small towns rely on dollars so much of these hikers. I mean, they're tiny hole-in-the-wall towns that they were so grateful we came in and treated us like family. I mean, we had one tiny town where the guy come on in and gave us milkshakes, and we sat on his couch and met his wife, who fixed us this lovely meal. And
trail angels, you call these people, right?
And we broke bread with them and other hikers and Continental Divide bikers, and just everybody was open arms to us. And it was almost like hiding from the pandemic because no one was sick and we all felt great and we were all isolated. So it was kind of cool.
Let's bring in Ed Kelly, who joins us from his home in Detroit after being on I think the Mitch Albom radio show. Ed, how are you?
I'm well. Can you hear me okay?
It works perfectly. You remember Tammy from the Appalachian Trail.
I do. I've been listening to the adventures. My goodness, the snakes alone.
Giving everyone nightmares.
The snake, is that probably the scariest? I mean, you've got some bear pictures too, I'm sure, but the snakes always get
bear
everybody,
pictures? What do you mean?
No, not that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The snakes are, I mean, that's the one. Are we as a species instinctively most afraid of snakes for a specific reason? Is that a taught cultural thing, or is there you think a hereditary DNA reason we are so afraid of them?
I think it's hardwired in us to. Everybody is wired to be afraid of predators. Look at the people that are afraid of spiders or snakes or
lawyers.
Lawyers.
Snakes don't bite lawyers, though. It's professional respect.
Professional respect. Okay, let's. Oh, and where are we here?
This is New Mexico.
Okay, back.
That's New Mexico too. That's just kind of the starting. And you have to see the signpost there is, you're so grateful for it because there actually isn't a trail on a lot of this. So you're just kind of walking along, and that's actually a really great signpost.
So that's the trail marker.
Yeah.
And you look for the next one, and how far away could it be?
Sometimes within vision, sometimes you can't even see it, and you just have to navigate with your smartphone and hope for the best. And that was cactus country too. So we got thorns, like big thorns in our shoes, which was crazy. So there was always someone stopping for something through that area.
Smartphone, we use the stars.
Sextant.
Wish it was that good.
Can we say sextant? I'm not sure.
Yes, we can. Okay. Okay, have we scrolled through the pictures, Dave? Are we ready for some of these movies?
Covered all of them.
So the 261 is kind of a fun story. I didn't get to that one, but that was kind of a fun one. So I have my what I call my hiking uniform, which is my little hiking capris that has a little skirt on it. And so the company that I ordered from was out of them before I left. So she's like, well, we do have this special edition 261, and I wasn't familiar what this 261 was all about, but it had a number on it. And so I found out that 261 was the number of the first woman to finish the Boston Marathon, and she was actually attacked in the course for being a woman. They tried to push her around and all this and physically assault her, and then she made it.
How long ago was this?
It was in the 60s. I think it was 67 maybe.
Further along.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how far we've come? Thank God.
And I think we need to be reminded from time to time how far we've come, because people say, oh, there's no problem with, misogyny or racism. It's all fixed. And I go, no, I was a kid when they weren't allowing people to do stuff. And, it's not that far away. And I think the behavior subliminally, just from the examples of our parents or things we saw on the media, sort of stays with us. And if we're not present of mind. But
watch a Norman Lear show and you'll.
That's right. That's right. All in the Family. Still satire today. Okay, so let's move to the movies here.
So I'll finish my 261 real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So she embraced her fears. She completed the Boston Marathon as the first woman to do so. So 261 is now equivalent to the like fearless movement. So because she powered through. So I was like, well, that's cool. That seems appropriate that I should be wearing 261 on this journey. So it wasn't like a thing that I set out for, but ended up with this outfit that said 261 on it. And
you're like an NFL star in that you've got clothing sponsors, right? Yeah, it's not Nike or anything.
I don't get paid the same though, so that needs
okay.
to
No,
change.
not at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's because you're a woman.
Influence.
No, I'm kidding.
Right. But I'm working on it. I got the 261.
Okay.
So so then I get to the border, right? After 5 months of traveling, and I'm still in this little 261. And we get there, and the actual border at Glacier National Park is closed, so we had to kind of go around. So we hit this weird border crossing that's like defunct, and it has still has a marker, but on one side of it, the Canadian side, these two guys had driven up in their Hyundai, and they were cracking like Michelob Ultras on the Canadian side, and and we were on the other side. And it was like, hey, neighbors to the north. And the guy comes over and he offers us a drink. And then he's like, this is so cool. We get to commune with our neighbors to the south. And then he looks at my escort thing and he goes, oh, 261. That's awesome. And I was like,
wow, he got it.
Yeah. How did he know? You know, because I didn't know about this and I'm in this industry. And then he points to the border marker. And it's 261.
Oh,
wow.
I didn't know.
I was standing at the 261 border marker. So that picture that Deb had brought up actually had me standing with the 261 next to the 261 border marker. So
Can you say fate?
Yes.
That's totally fake.
Repeat after me, fate.
Very nice. All right, let's look at some of these movies.
Great
and
story.
then Ed has a senior citizen question. And Tami, if you want to help out at the old folks' home, you can hang
Great.
out.
Thank you.
So, all right, I see, and we have to bring these in a different way. I see. We may have to just play the movie and then have you talk about it.
Okay.
So here's.
I don't know what the audio will be like.
We don't know
either.
let's just play one and then we'll hear about it.
Okay. This could be
September
a snake.
18th. It's coming on
It was very end.
Very nice glasses.
2 o'clock before long. And we're on our final
Oops.
mile to the border. So exciting.
This is before you met those Canadians, right?
This is right before we met the Canadians. Yep. There's my trail brother.
Yeah.
He loves video.
Both of us are quite emaciated at this point. Ready for some real food.
Loves being the
tuned for
center of
more
attention.
Of trail
But anyway, yeah, so
Yeah. Day 147 of hiking.
we're excited. It's day 147 for us.
It is. Yep.
What's the hat
final
say?
day, the final mile.
It is slipping, and I don't know why. We have plenty of internet speed. Let me try a different one. It might be the format of the film.
You know, can you squeeze the frame a little bit? It might play better. If you.
That's just a rattlesnake cruising across the.
Oh, snakes never get old when they're in pictures.
Snakes never get old. Scar.
Slithering. There he goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're actually doing a good thing for hiking by showing so many snakes.
I just see a belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A snakeskin belt. Yes.
There's another one. That guy, you know, it's funny. I've heard them called sidewinders, and I don't know if that's actually a term for a rattlesnake. Forgive me. Maybe someone can comment, and if they know. But they actually do. They put their little head up like this when they're intimidated, and they go sideways with their head up. And so that's actually a picture of them, of one of them doing it. But I don't know. I think snakes are pretty cool. I don't feel like. I don't really want to get up close and personal necessarily, but when I see them, it makes me happy. It's wildlife. It's something cool to see on the trail. As long as they're not biting me, I guess. Good.
Well, and I would love to get a little thought from you on this because we've just moved to the Southwest, and I'm very brave doing all my January desert hiking and my February desert hiking because I know that it's too cold for them to come out. But I have been told that once April hits, that they are out and they're hungry, but they're mostly looking for mice.
Oh, God, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, they're just cool. They'll let you know usually. I mean, not always, but you'll hear a rattle or a,
Disclaimer.
I
hear a disclaimer.
They usually ask if you have medical coverage first.
Yes.
just
All right.
use trekking poles. That's the best advice I can give you. I mean, they're sensitive to vibration too.
So if I'm walking and there's little holes in the ground, and I've been told they pop their heads out of those little holes sometimes in the spring to see what's up if you're nearby. Not true or not true?
You're talking to someone who lives in Washington State, so my experience with rattlesnakes has been limited to trail time, and I have seen one with its entire body down and its little back end out with its little tiny rattle, and it cracked me up because I was looking at its backside, and its head was completely in the hole. And so I was like I was spying on him.
Bob has been known to adopt that posture.
Yes, I have.
Lisa gets home.
So to summarize, Bob, don't be a wuss. You just hike the trails.
Yeah.
Keep your wits about you.
That's it.
You're probably not going to get bit, and if you do, it's rare.
It's like
not that big of a deal.
If at first you don't succeed, so much for skydiving.
And people don't usually croak from the snake bite, right? The
antivenom's really good now, as long as you can get get it quickly.
And you didn't bring any with you. I mean,
no.
It's prescription, and I think it depends. You want to. I'm not in medical industry, so I'll say that for a disclaimer. But what I've heard is that you do want to control your amounts of antivenom, probably based on your body size and all that. So it's not something you want to have necessarily as an injectable.
Let's
take that question from a viewer that we just put up. As I thought it was a pretty good question. What was the single best and single worst memory from your Continental Divide hike?
Oh boy, the single worst memory probably was, so we diverted to climb Mount Taylor, which is the highest peak in New Mexico. And it's pretty high in elevation. And I normally do really well with that. But the morning we had set out to climb it, I was not doing well with elevation. And I just felt sicker and sicker and sicker as we were climbing. And I found myself giving away my delicious breakfast pretty close to that was a real bummer.
And the nearby rattlesnakes quickly told each other, hey, there's a meal there. Okay. So you can, you can get sick and nauseous on a trail. Best moment, would it be standing on one of those peaks with a stunning view at sunset?
Hands down. There were so many of those. I mean, there was one time where it was like 4 days when I had seen anyone and cresting this ridge and the wind blowing, and it was just one of these surreal moments that in one's lifetime, you feel like you've seen it in a movie, but to have that experience is why any of us hike. I mean, to be able to have that connection,
majestic view.
That view in that moment, it's something you feel. It's like wind, right? You don't see it all the time, and sometimes you don't even hear it, but you feel it, and it's like that's kind of what that was like, is just that moment of this is incredible. I'm so glad that I'm healthy enough and granted this opportunity to be out here. So
wow,
what a privilege.
Tami Asars, photographer, author, and Triple Crown hiker. Which is extremely rare. I mean, I know there's not an official record kept of this, but the number of people and probably even the number of women who've made that accomplishment is very small. We love having you on. I do want to get to Ed's topic, and Tami, this is senior citizen topic, so feel free to hang
first
out.
of all, thank you, Tami, for being an ad hoc ambassador to my homeland. By the way.
Oh yeah, you remember he's Canadian, Canadian American. You have two passports or not?
No, just one. I'm a knucklehead through and through.
So you're totally American now?
No, I'm completely Canadian.
You did not become a citizen?
No, because they said I'd have to relinquish my Canadian citizenship.
What are the other?
And then I did flipper, and I went.
By the way, it's super easy. The hardest part about getting that permanent work visa is to prove that no one else can do the job you do. Now, give me that flipper again. Bring on a better flipper, and no problem. Okay, so Ed wrote to me about this today. It's something that Zip and I have both gone through, and you are now, what's the magical age you are?
Well, I'm approaching the age at which the government will pay for your medical.
Okay. Medicare is what you're talking about. So even though you're Canadian,
Yes.
As a permanent worker here, you
As
get
a
Medicare.
resident alien, yes. I am an alien. Yes, Bob. I knew you were going there. AI could do it for me.
Okay. So, and we were both in that same situation because all of a sudden you're the right age for Medicare. And it's a great thing about it is essentially your monthly bills are going to go down, but how much they go down depends on various choices that you make. And so can I sum up what you sent me?
Sure. Go ahead. That's why I did it. Thanks.
I mean, it was 3 pages long, but I think that was it. So give me in your words, it's just the dilemma you face right now.
Well, it's just that it's a labyrinth of I feel like I'm going into the Lord of the Rings series and that I have to sit through the entire trilogy first before I can even answer a question for these people. Part A, Part B, supplementary, HH. What do they call it? OPP? Not OPP. That's Ontario Provincial Police. They're called
Medigap.
Medigap is one, but then
Medicare
there's
Advantage.
HH. I don't know. There's so many acronyms that it boggles my mind. Particularly.
And knowing you, I know that your attention span does not allow you to Google.
I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
Yeah. No, and I found it extremely frustrating too. I ended up watching a bunch of videos, but
and I'm doing that.
Still, even when you're trying to figure it out,
it's like it's a university course. I mean, this syllabus, there's no end to it.
Bottom line, and all I can give you is my experience, and Zip will give you his.
Right.
Bottom line, and I went through this cancer.
I've been there, done that. Got the shirt, hated it.
I'm happy to be here and currently in remission, and scans are good. So the choice I made was to get the most expensive plan available.
And being in your income bracket, I'll do the same, Bob. Thank you for solving this issue.
I'm retired on a fixed income with no income right now. I mean, this podcast, trust me.
Yes.
But here's the thing. Prior to retirement age, we were paying through the nose because we were Zip. Do you buy it as a
self-employed?
Self-employed, and you had. We were, I think, $18,000-$20,000 a year for the two of us. It was crazy. And so the initial Medicare, is it Part A, the main one, every A and B that everybody has to have or something?
That's the catastrophic thing,
Yeah. That's basically prevents you from catastrophic. Okay.
Right. Period. That's it.
You will pay a lot out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's all you can afford because you enjoy the high quality premium cat food. And a lot of people can only afford that. And then Part D is your prescription. And you can pick any one you want.
What? Subject to about a list of rules about I know we don't have the perspective to show the length.
So here, and I hate to say this because you're going to play the "I'm rich" card. I want to steal a line from Chris Rock the other night. He goes, "Yeah, I'm rich, but I identify as poor." By the way, anyone who hasn't seen have you seen that, Tammy? By any chance, you hear about it?
No.
Chris Rock did a live show on Netflix.
I did watch it. It was
You're
great.
back in your feather bed. You've got your comfort. You probably have Netflix.
Yeah, I do.
Do you mind really harsh, edgy comedy?
No.
All right. This may be Chris Rock's best life work.
Okay.
And I don't want to give away too many jokes, but I'll probably slip one or two.
Yeah.
The whole yes, I'm rich, but I identify as poor was a great line. It's called selective outrage. Okay. So anyway, back to you. I hate to say this because you'll play the nose in the air card, but in some cases you get what you pay for, unless you're getting ripped off. And I'll tell you the two things that I came to the conclusion of. When it comes to Part D prescriptions, you get what you pay for. The more expensive ones are more likely to cover drugs that might happen to you if you get something real bad.
Right.
A lot of people shop based on the prescription drugs they're on right now. But yours is just Mary Jane.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Wake and bake.
So So I don't think, and by the way, you can change it once a year.
Yeah, for a window for 2 months, and then you
And
can't.
during that time, you're out of pocket if you
Yeah.
make a call and you need some expensive drug. So that's part D. And if you, that's your comfort level of how risky you want to be and how much out of pocket you're willing
And how
to
many
risk.
times I want to go to Canada for drugs and bring them back.
Let me interrupt for one thing.
We're going to
'cause
get to Canada in a minute. Yes.
Absolutely.
I made this mistake on the Part D. Initially, I didn't,
By the way, everyone under 63, it was nice having you here.
Good night.
I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't take a Part D plan. I think I told you I used that Good RX.
You used the prescription, Good RX. Yes. Yes.
right,
yes.
the card, because I
Discount
say, hey,
coupon
listen,
drug thing. Yeah.
you can't do that. You got to pick one, because now 4 years hence, I found out that now I have to sign up for it, and I'm paying a premium for the rest of my life
Because he
for
didn't pick it early.
delaying the Part D.
That's the thing. There's windows for everything that if you
Right.
miss, you're screwed.
So here's the thing: how much risk are you comfortable with? I'm comfortable with very little risk. Like
Bob,
I already
work with you. I
Already,
am
those pictures of
not
rattlesnakes are going to be with me
risk-averse.
every hour for the next. And in all my hiking, I'm going to go. Tammy, I'm going to go get the venom. I'm gonna find out how to be as. I'm not going to not hike. 'Cause
Would you
know me
like a
better
trail
than
buddy? Just suck the venom out.
that. Yes. No. So basically you sign up for A and B, and Part D, just do the best you can. When it comes to Medigap versus Medicare Advantage, I have a really strong opinion.
Do tell.
Well, Medicare Advantage was something okayed by the government for private pharmaceutical businesses to offer an alternative to the Medigaps, which are really regulated by the government. Isn't that right, Spike? Zip.
Well, it depends. Make sure you're not uttering a brand name. A lot of those names of the policies are just they're not government sponsored.
Yes. When we travel, we always buy Joe's lottery tickets. There's a guy named Joe in Mexico who has a wonderful lottery.
I think the smartest way on the supplemental or the Medigap stuff is get a spreadsheet to see. There's a lot of paperwork, but if you can see the spreadsheet and compare them.
Okay. Here's another thing.
Spread a sheet on my bed and put the papers out on it.
If you're thinking short term, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
So
long-term.
I say stay away from the Medicare Advantage stuff or Medigap, whatever the Advantage ones.
Yeah.
It's like military intelligence,
Yeah,
peacekeeping
oxymoron.
missile, Medicare Advantage.
Yeah.
It's actually should be called disadvantage because
Advantage.
they're cheaper than the Medigaps for a reason, but they offer we'll give you some dental. How about a health club membership? And then when you get something really serious,
You're
you have to
screwed.
pay
Through the nose.
more of a percentage of it.
Yeah.
So both Lisa and I went for the most expensive Medigap we could get, and I have been through
It's paid for
surgery,
itself.
chemo,
Yeah.
radiation, and probably close to $1 million worth of treatments. And I still get pissed when I go to Costco and I have to pay $5 copay on one of my prescriptions.
Well, that's Bob. That's our Bob.
And there's a little bit of out of pocket for the first few months, and I'm like, hey, you're giving me a bill, and then it goes away. So I mean, look, none of us gets out of here entirely alive. None of us are immortal. And
Can't take it with you, Bob.
no, if you think
That's
you're going to give Jimmy Carter and Betty White a run for their money, then and stay in a health club, cheap out. But yeah, the way a lot of them, if you don't sign up, you sort of lose the opportunity to sign up.
Bob, if I go comatose, do me a favor, just drop me across the border. Just hand them my homeland passport and say, let the Canadian socialized medicine finish up with this one.
Can you do that?
With a $4,000 exit fee, yes.
Now, I want to ask you a question for my conservative friend David, who's probably listening right now, because today he talked about how terrible healthcare in Canada is. Mm-hmm. And I have a bunch of Canadian friends, and they like some aspects of socialized medicine.
Yeah.
Especially some of the folks in my esophageal cancer group who say as soon as they were diagnosed, they got cutting edge treatment and it was fantastic. So as a Canadian who's gotten the heck out of Canada,
Yeah.
you probably have a unique perspective. But
Yes.
are the Canadian friends fairly happy with it? Or
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the problem is the waiting list for some of the more urgent operations. But the more urgent you are, they bump you up.
they bump you up? Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes they will even pay to send you to an American institution to have the, not mental institution, I mean, American medical institution to have the operation done, and then they will foot the bill. But it has to be life-threatening. It really has to be.
Yeah, and that's what happened to my and they rave about it. So
Yeah.
much
But,
like all these.
but for example, if the average American had come down with what you came down and didn't have the financial depth, that would bankrupt them.
Yes, many who, if they didn't have good insurance and had to do a 20% copay, they would basically be given a choice of whether they could get this immunotherapy or not. Some of them, yeah, and it's the way it goes. Okay, I, in my heart, wish there was socialized medicine, but also don't know how you get there from here with our
people in
system.
hell do want ice water.
Yes,
too.
they do.
but
Okay.
That
All right.
is gonna happen.
Last thing, we've gone on long. Tami, is there anything you want to talk about? Maybe to wake up any young people that might still be listening to us? This is the anybody with a burning desire portion of this.
Yes.
I was just thinking as Ed was talking, I was making mental notes that I meant to look into outdoor recreation insurance for like helicopter rescue type stuff. If you get out there and have a serious injury where you need medical aid.
Yeah.
And because
We
that
had
can get very costly.
We had a guest that gave us the rundown on those costs when he ditched his plane.
Okay.
Remember?
Cancel your healthcare, cancel your fitness center membership or whatever. Yeah. All right.
Silver sneakers.
Yeah. Last thought I had was
just quick question
go
for
ahead.
Tammy.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. The three of us are so entrenched in our digital worlds with computers and all this gear and technology. How refreshing is it? I mean, do you find yourself going, too much when you get back into this current technological society from such a beautiful spiritual place for so many days?
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I do actually. It's funny because I've since this last hike, my habits have changed, and it sort of happened not consciously, but I'm not looking at my screen as much on the phone, and I'm missing things like people texting back and forth, and I get this huge string, and I'm like, sorry, I wasn't here, and so I guess if you need me, call me in person, because I'm just finding that I like human voices, communication that way so much better than digital media. Like, this is great too, to see you guys and talk, but the texting thing and the email thing just seems so
Cryptic.
impersonal. Maybe, it's nice to have humans around you.
It's also not as nuanced.
No,
as
you miss so
visual
much.
and verbal, and there's not as much communicated. You can easily misunderstand somebody by text.
Yeah, you can't read body language, right? Or yeah.
All right. Well, Tami, it's been wonderful having you here.
Thank you so much.
Ed, you showed up just in time. Thank you.
Just in time.
So there's this thing called YouTube on Google that has fantastic instructional videos.
Yes, I know, but it's boring as paint.
Yeah. And it's even better on gummies because you can watch the same video 3 times.
Excite me some, Bob. Cross state lines, will you?
Anyway, so we're going to leave you with a little bit of maple syrup boiling, which is what I'm doing.
Oh, boy.
And if you're
That'll bring the
interested
kids
in one
back.
of we had 180 packages. There's about 38 left. If you're interested in one of them, just go to bobrivers.blog. You can also sign up to be emailed whenever we're doing a live stream. And the better place to see the live streams is on YouTube. We're basically trolling for people on Facebook because it's a good place for people to go, oh, I had no idea you were doing this. But once you sign up on YouTube and you click like and subscribe, then you're always notified when we're on. And of course, you can easily get any video stream that you want on demand without having to scroll through my feed on Facebook and all of that stuff.
Bob, enough chit-chat. Remember, if you call, you can have Antonio Banderas answer your telephone.
if
That's
you
right.
become.
Ed Kelly has graciously offered and has done it many times for anyone that supports us at patreon.com/Bob Rivers, that he will do a voice message for your phone, and we do appreciate that. So we'll leave you with the wonderful smell-o-vision. If you imagine, you'll smell the maple syrup as we leave you with this. Here we go. And also a reminder, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Can they hear what? Can they hear
the French fry machine at McDonald's when I was
right.
18.
It's like French fries. One thing we're learning tonight, this was kind of beta tonight, Tammy. You were our experiment to do these pictures. We're going to have to convert the films to smaller size to handle the servers. But this, for a television studio and a browser, not so bad. Everybody have a wonderful week. Tammy, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It's nice talking with you guys, and all the best.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
The Bob and Zip Show.